Okay, our next speaker is Robert Simpson, founder of a wonderful technology company called Electrosonic. You probably have been in some of these experiences and you wouldn't even know it. But I'll let Bob show a wonderful couple of minutes. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Ray asked me to give a little bit of a talk about myself, which I thought was a little bit selfish, but on the other hand, it does give a perspective over quite a long period of the application of technology to visitors' attractions. So what have I done? Well, I'm probably unique in really having had only one job in my life, which was based on founding Electrosonic back in 1964. And again, we heard this morning somebody who started in a shed. Well, we were pretty much similar. We started in 2 rooms in Greenwich Vegetable Market. But we went on to grow all around the world, and we're now a little bit bigger. And my current role is I'm still the director of the group, but my main role is as advisor, as old friend to the industry, and old friend to all my colleagues within the group. What's my experience? It's relevant. Well, relevant experience is one of the first things we ever did was to develop a thing called a talking label, which was a commentating device. This one was in Trafalgar Square. Believe it or not, it worked there for several years successfully until eventually the Obs got in with a crowbar. But up until then, it worked well. And we supplied at least 50 or 100 of these to London Zoo. Expos loomed very largely in my life. Expo 67 was one of the first. I've been to 15 of them since, and we've worked on all of them. We were very early on in the so-called experience business. In those days, all done with slides and 35mm film. And we even, for a period, actually operated one of these things. So we really got to learn a lot of the lessons that we've heard from other speakers about how you greet the public and what actually works. But we installed experience systems all around the world. By the 80s, video became possible, so we've been in the multi-picture business, so naturally we went into video walls, which served us well for about 20 years or so, up to very, very sophisticated video displays, such as the one in the museum, the old museum in Arlington, which again was a completely breakthrough display. And we carry on today. And I like to think that occasionally I get involved with many big installations. Some are commercial, some are public. Like this one here, this is the Heineken experience in Amsterdam. Obviously, anywhere where they're selling beer, I'm likely to be around. Who are my influences? Ray asked for life-changing things. I wasn't very good on that, but I changed it to influences. And I've chosen 3 people and 3 bits of technology. 3 people. The first person is Alan Turing, whose 100th anniversary arises this year. I went to the same school as Alan Turing, and he died while I was there, and his mother instituted the Alan Turing Prize, and I'm very proud to be one of the first winners of that. It's significant because I went on to read physics, but actually when I was at university, I spent much more time doing the lighting and the sound for college dances and for the Dramatic Society than I did doing physics, I regret to say. And that's what really got me into doing light and sound and so on. The next person that had a big influence was James Gardner, who I'm sure some of you remember was a leading exhibition designer. And he was the one who really set the grammar for how you integrated technology into exhibits without the exhibit screaming technology. Now, that became a natural part of the exhibit. And the other people who inspired me were the people from Prague, Josef Svoboda and Jaroslav Fritsch. Again, we went on to do quite a lot of work with Fritsch, but their work at Expo 67 was in the old cliche, mind-blowing. It pointed out to me that we had to work internationally. If you didn't work internationally, you were not going to get the exciting things, you were not going to get the influences. So these three people or four people were some inspiration. So was technology. So I'm a techie at heart, so the silicon control rectifier, which was what made modern lighting control possible and what was the basis of our business, the microchip, which we heard this morning, has had such an incredible influence, and the Apple IIe computer, which was one of the first computers you could actually use for programming technology exhibits and shows. At the time, the IBM PC was absolutely hopeless at this sort of work. The Apple II was brilliant, and we owe the Apple company quite a lot. And some of us had the privilege of hearing Jonathan Ive this morning talking about it. What do I do today? Well, today I very much get involved with helping the marketing side. We've published this publication, Electrosonic World, since 1980, and it's a fascinating record now of what we've done. And quite often we can look back and say, well, hang on a minute, we had that problem 15 years ago, and this is what we did. It also shows how technology has evolved. I represent the company, like today, and the industry, sometimes not the company, but the industry, and these are just a few of the presentations that I've given recently, some in South Africa, in Paris, in Florence, one or two other places, United States often. So that's another thing I do. And one of my tasks is to try and keep up to date with technology, in display technology particularly. So I go off to obscure conventions to learn what they're doing with organic LEDs and new substances. And that thing on the bottom right, by the way, is a 8,000 pixel plasma from Panasonic, but it will not be in a shop near you soon. The picture on the left is of the latest OLED displays from Samsung, and from Samsung in that case. I write and speak about audiovisual and lighting control products, and for example, this publication we produced as a souvenir of Expo 2010, but it was not about Electrosonic, it was about everything that went on at Expo, and it was something we could give our clients who wouldn't have the money or time to go there, and it was like a little present to tell them something about what was going on there. And the other thing I do currently is to advise colleagues and clients and try and give advice based on experience. What's my motivation? This was another one of Ray's questions. Well, people in our business always have the attitude, the show must go on. So the show, in my case, has gone on for a very long time, but I'm still with it, and I still want to keep the show going. And what can I do now to make a difference? Well, one of the things I can do is to encourage appreciation of the continuum, teaching the benefits of learning from experience. I love the remark from Martin about how the museums are the direct legacy of 1851. And here these pictures just show that certain design ideas have existed well over 100 years. I can promote the message that the story and design are what matters. The technology is secondary. The technology can come in later. On the other hand, one helps as far as possible to ensure that the appropriate technology is used. And finally, we want to encourage a proper design development and continuity in project execution. Martin Sorrell this morning made a very valid point about some of the procurement methods now not being appropriate to the creative industries. And if we can do everything we can do to ensure continuity, to allow designers to complete the design and get it properly developed, and allow a simpler procurement process, that would be a real help. I've spoken too long. I'm sure I'm probably in trouble already. Thank you very much.